So this habit is the emotional and intellectual equivalent of eating a McDonald's every single day. Everyone in the society is doing it. They call it normal. And it's actually one of the major impediments to seeing the world clearly. And that impediment is self-criticism and judgment. You see, self-criticism is an inner bully. You have one part of you that is bullying and criticizing another part of you. There's this inner dialogue that says that you did something wrong or bad or incorrect or that you're weak or any of these things. And so this inner dialogue is the result of a particular way of understanding the world, as we've seen. And so what is the understanding that leads to this inner dialogue of self-criticism? Why does this inner dialogue occur? Well, fundamentally, it's because you view procrastination or your behavior as bad. You have judged procrastination as being a negative thing that should not exist within you. So let's investigate this. What do we mean by this? Is procrastination bad? So as we've seen, procrastination is just your mind trying to send you a message. It's just your mind saying to you, look, I've weighed up the pros and cons on this thing, and I have some reservations about this thing. I'm afraid that we're going to fail. I'm afraid that we're going to get judged. And I'm afraid it's just going to be a waste of energy. I don't want to do this thing. And so if you view this message of the mind as being bad, as being evil, as being weak, then you miss the message. You're ripping up the message and saying, no, this is a weak message. I don't want to hear this. And because of that, you miss. Self-judgment is just missing what your heart is trying to tell you. So this inner dialogue is going on because one part of you is just judging another part of you. It's saying that that part of you is bad. It's bullying another part of you. You've divided yourself and declared war. This procrastination is bad. I'm not worthy. I'm weak. I'm bad. Procrastination only occurs because your heart is trying to tell you something, because your mind has a particular way of understanding and relating to the world, and that's resulting in procrastination. It's your mind trying to tell you something. It's your heart trying to tell you something. I'm using the heart and the mind interchangeably here. So there's a particular way of viewing the world that is resulting in this negative emotion towards the event. And as we know, humans, of course, naturally move away from negative emotions and towards positive emotions. There's absolutely nothing going wrong here. But when you view this as wrong, as morally wrong, as weak or as a failing, then you deny yourself the ability to truly see what's going on. What am I truly afraid of? What is the understanding that underpins this stuff? Because you're spending so much time saying, this is bad, this is weak, I should stop doing this, that you miss the message. And of course, don't start bullying your inner bully. Don't start thinking that the self-criticism is wrong or bad. Then you're just perpetuating. It's all just a natural arising of your mind and how your mind views the world. There's nothing bad or even about it. The mind is trying to help. It's trying to understand and relate to the world. It's just doing what it naturally does. It's just a puppy that's chewing. Puppies chew. That's just what they do. And so, as we've seen, procrastination is caused by an avoidance of negative emotions toward an activity. So the worst thing that you can do is make more negative emotions. And so one of the easiest things to do is to give up on this idea of judgment and self-criticism. There's absolutely nothing to feel guilty about towards procrastination. There is a lot to learn from procrastination. It might be your best educator about yourself. One of the best educators about yourself is your procrastination. It's such an opportunity to learn about yourself, to learn about the way that you view the world, and to learn about the world. It's such an opportunity. And to consider that weak or wrong is to entirely miss. Because it's all just natural. You wouldn't beat on a puppy for chewing. It's just natural. It's just the mind has an understanding of the world that is naturally resulting in the mind self-criticizing or procrastinating or whatever. Puppies chew. And if you start to hate or dislike what's going on, it only results in more negative emotions, which only perpetuates the problem. So I met a man who was smoking 2 cigarettes. I walked up to him and he had 2 cigarettes in his mouth. And I asked him, why are you smoking 2 cigarettes? Why have you got 2 cigarettes in your mouth? And he said to me, I quit smoking last week. I was so confused by this. He told me that he quit smoking last week and now he's got 2 cigarettes in his mouth. And so I was so confused and I said, well, why are you smoking 2 now if you gave them up last week? And the man turned to me and he says, well, one of the cigarettes is because I relapsed and the other one is because I felt guilty about relapsing and needed a smoke. That's essentially what you're doing. And so the devoted person simply wants to see the world clearly. And they know that one of the major impediments to seeing the world clearly is judgment. That this is wrong, this is right, this is bad, this is evil. Because when you judge, you become like a bad scientist. You bias your data. You're like the scientist who comes to do an experiment and has already made up his mind. It's all just data. Why are you biasing the data with your frivolous judgments that have just been conditioned into you by society? The devoted person, the person who's devoted to overcoming these issues, truly wants to understand, because they know that the understanding of the world and the way of viewing the world is the core of all of this stuff. Why do I have an apprehension about doing this thing? What is the understanding that is causing my resistance to this task? Is this understanding accurate? How does the world actually work? How does this thing actually function? And such a person is so rare, but so immune to the grasping hands of nature. And such a person is given the opportunity to truly transform their very nature. This is not just an incremental improvement that this person is given the opportunity to do, but true transformation, becoming an entirely different person. And it all begins with this, with an open mind and a devotion to truly trying to understand, with a heart that truly wants to see how things work, what's truly going on. And self-judgment and self-criticism is one of the major impediments to doing that. And of course, to criticize self-criticism is only to perpetuate the problem.